The spinal column serves the main function of protecting the spinal cord as well as keeping individuals upright. The spinal column is designated into 4 sections: the cervical, the thoracic, the lumbar, and pelvic. Of these sections, the lumbar spine serves as the base of support for the upper body. This video will focus on the lumbar spine. The lumbar region consists of 5 specialized bones or vertebrae, abbreviated L1 to L5. The lumbar spine is located dorsally, inferior to the thoracic spine and superior to the sacrum. The unique structure of the lumbar vertebrae allows this region of the spine the strength to bear the weight of the thorax and upper appendages. From the superior view, a lumbar vertebra is composed of the body, the spinous process, articular process, transverse process, foramen, lamina, and pedicles. The lumbar vertebra also has facets and articular joints which allow for small movements of flexion and extension. In anatomical position, the spinous process is located posterior to the body of the vertebrae. The spinous process of the lumbar vertebrae, a hatchet-shaped projection, serves as a point of attachment for muscles and ligaments. The spinalis thoracis muscle aids in keeping the lumbar vertebrae aligned and originates on the spinous process of L1 to L3. The 2 thin and tapered projections located laterally of the spinous process are the transverse processes. Intertransverse ligaments are attached to the transverse processes and limit the movement of lateral flexion in the lumbar spine. The largest portion of the lumbar vertebrae is the vertebral body. This region of the vertebra is significantly bigger than the body of the cervical and thoracic vertebrae, allowing it to better bear the weight of the thorax. The intervertebral discs, which rest on each individual vertebral body, serve as a cushion between the stacked vertebral bodies of the spine. This cushion creates a small gap between each vertebrae, allowing for minor flexion in the spine. The purpose of these intervertebral discs is to aid in shock absorption as well as preventing damaging bone-on-bone friction in the spine. As one might suspect, the intervertebral discs of the lumbar vertebrae are significantly thicker than those of the thoracic and cervical vertebrae. The vertebral arch encircles the foramen and is composed of 2 lamina and 2 pedicles. The lamina are flat bony plates that are found on the posterior end of the arch. The pedicles are short bony walls that form the sides of the arch. The pedicles and lamina are distinctly different on the lumbar vertebrae as they are shorter and thicker than those of the cervical and thoracic vertebrae. The vertebral foramen is a circular hole in the vertebrae located dorsally to the vertebral body. This foramen is created by the lamina and pedicles forming an arch as well as the dorsal aspect of each vertebral body. The circular structure of the vertebral foramen allows for the spinal nerves to pass through. When all vertebrae are stacked, their vertebral foramen form the spinal canal. These spinal nerves descending superiorly from the brain pass through the spinal canal. This canal offers protection to these highly sensitive nerves, preventing any damage from external forces. The superior articular process of each vertebra articulates with the inferior articular process of the vertebra above it, while the inferior articular process articulates with the superior articular process of the vertebra below it. The superior articular process faces posteromedially, whereas inferior articular process is positioned anterolaterally. Noticeably, the spinal column has many curves to it, known as the spinal curvature. The lumbar curvature is convex. This curvature is one of the two secondary spinal curvatures which develops as a toddler begins to stand upright. Lordosis, an extreme curvature of the lumbar spine, can result from congenital and neurological maladies like epilepsy. Posture and weight can also affect the curvature of the lumbar spine. During an individual's lifetime, the lumbar curvature will aid the body in balance by evenly distributing the weight of the thorax and the upper appendages while standing. The gliding joints of the lumbar spine support movements for flexion and extension. The lumbar region only allows a minimal amount of movement, but when working in junction with the rest of the spinal column, the range of motion is increased. This increased range of motion allows a gymnast like Simone Biles the flexibility to perform a backflip. Since these vertebrae support the weight of the entire upper body, they have the potential to be damaged relatively easily. Any damage to the intervertebral discs or the bone itself could compromise the spinal cord, leading to painful injuries. In a car accident, the lower back can experience great forces. This force can cause dislocation or a fracturing of vertebra or intervertebral discs, which can lead to damage of the spinal cord. Depending on the severity of these injuries to the spinal cord, numbness of the lower back, tingling sensations, or pain in the hips and legs, or at worst, complete paralysis of the lower limbs could result. The lumbar vertebrae is a section of the spine which functions mainly in providing points of flexion and extension for the trunk, a base of support for the thorax, as well as protective housing of the spinal cord. This video was prepared as part of the course requirements of Human Anatomy at Saddleback College.